All right, sweet, cool. AU had a really clean trade at like 11 a.m. Queensland time. But basically what we've got at the moment, so obviously we're very bullish inside of this 4 hour leg. Let's stand. That's our hourly leg that we've got. Then our 15 is bearish. So obviously at the moment, stepping our way down, looking to at least come and target some of these lower points. Where the price does get all the way down here, being so bullish, I'm not sure, but it's looking like at least it's going to come and target this point before potentially continuing for buys. Moving really clean structurally in terms of the way that we're mitigating, well, we're inducing into mitigations, breaking, inducing into mitigations, and then having internal breaks. The trade that was there today is just perfect in terms of what we want to see structurally. So we had a mitigation after an inducement into an internal break. Prices then come back up to supply and given our entry model. Just goes to show that with this entry model, it just plays out structurally. It doesn't like matter what the market's really doing, as long as it's in the right spot structurally, it will play out. You had your initial break to the downside after the mitigation. We then get that induced after prices then came up and induced this point, gave a very cramped two leg. But given how strong of a like area this is, you'd be making sure you get in on this. So first leg, pull back, second leg, entering off of obviously the imbalance here, or the point. It's only 1.3 pips, extend it to 1.5. AU's got a really small pip count. So, it's tiny point, but it is AU, and yeah, you're sitting pretty clean. Very clean. You would have hit your 1.5, I think it was within like 20 minutes, something like that. Yeah, so very clean trade, just goes to show the price will just play out structurally. But basically what we're looking for now, I don't want to be trying to buy it out of this area. Like, yes, you can look for it structurally. We'll obviously get a break, makes sense for price to retrace and continue obviously doing this, targeting this point down here. I just don't want to be buying from here. It's just a bit of an iffy area. I'd rather get all of this taken out. And then if we come down here and we're sitting, in this area, we're going to be more or less in the middle of nowhere. So AU, it is looking like it's going to be more so waiting for price to come back up, mitigating maybe something inside of here, whatever it might be, given how price develops, and then looking to sell back down. I'll keep an eye on it, see what it does when we take this low, but I'm definitely not going to be aggressive on an entry at all there. But yeah, really clean. That's more than likely going to be the trade until New York, unfortunately. EU, don't really care for EU, like I've been saying a little bit lately, but more or less what we've got. Prices inside of this bullish leg. Again, same thing, working our way down, looking at least come and target some of these points down here. Got some nice points down there, all very filled down here. Don't see it coming down that far. Anyway, I'll just check that chart. Poor Dylan. What are you talking about? Oh, I mean EU. Yeah, it's a shit pair. It's a beautiful pair. It just doesn't manipulate the same way. But basically what we've got in EU at the moment, so obviously stepping our way down, prices come up very deep inside of this leg. It's induced at the top, didn't mitigate, but very clear inducement. Has now done a very minor internal break. It's not anything that we'd use in terms of like trying to trade off of this break or anything like that. But in terms of understanding the movement of price, we can use that little break there as a bit of an indication of price potentially now starting to reverse back down. So as price does come up into here, it'll be pretty clean, induces the high of Asia to just like a 1 or 5 minute structural inducement into that mitigation, look for the sell back down. I have got an alert set here just to more so monitor price. I'm not going to be trying to buy it up after this inducement, as realistically speaking, that's our 15-minute range, with that being our break. So that's like our internal range. So yeah, just going to be monitoring this for the way the price moves, and then we'll take it from there. But yeah, not really looking to do too much of EU. It just doesn't manipulate the same way. So not going to be trying to trade it as much. All yours, brother.
Beautiful. Alrighty. All right, sweet. So GU coming into the session, I reckon I have a really good point here to create a trap for us. It's probably given an entry. Yep, cool. Beautiful two leg that we're not going to take. So I want all of this absolutely smoked. Um, the only trade I actually see as even possible during London session is realistically a huge inducement into this point. If we can get an inducement into this point, reason this point even holds any value of course, we've got rack from an extreme 15-minute internal break up. We've then come down to supply to demand before we reach supply and broken again. So I see this as a whole new 15-minute leg. We did break this high up here as well, which is also gives it some validity as well. If we actually break down the point that's in here, we acted from a supply point, created a supply to demand, which did take retest liquidity of this break here. So just structurally, it makes complete sense. It's not the best point in terms of we're not taking a huge amount of liquidity then to react in this, but in terms of just structure, reading highs and lows, and supply to demands. This is a very, very clean point. And we get our mitigation for London, which lines up. So I don't even want to try and trade realistically anywhere in this point. I think that's just silly. You've got this huge run of liquidity that will happen here. I wouldn't be surprised if this picked up some momentum and melted into that. You've also then got structure here that hasn't had a pullback at all through Asian session. It's literally just building liquidity for us to come take. I also see this as a huge area of liquidity as well. So that's what we're looking for coming into this session. The only other thing I really see is if price decides it wants to go from this point, push up and break through all this liquidity in the structure, we can possibly come sell. But looking at what AU's done having the entry, I wouldn't be surprised if if that doesn't even happen. And that's the trade for London session and more coming up, taking the external inducement of all this will be a sell coming from New York. So basically all I'm looking for in London is just, come into this point, come to buy. If I want to buy lower than that, need both of these gone. There is a small point here, but I see this as a big like pool of liquidity. So furthermore down here, which I just don't see it moving 60 pips, 50 pips to the downside to then grab a nice buy to then move up here before New York. I just don't see it happening. If anything, if we come down this far, I would see an external inducement, which will give us a nice entry coming into New York. So that's basically, easy outlook on this for today. Any
Epic.
any questions or anything before we call it there? Or are we all Gucci?
It's definitely looking like one of those sessions where just set your alerts. Don't even bother looking. Once we finish this call, I'm not actually going to be even on the charts. We've got my alerts set. I'm mainly just looking for GU. AU's had its move for the day, by the looks of things, or moving to New York. GU's got potential, but we're just sort of in the middle of nowhere now. So see it time again where the pairs open in these sorts of spots and they just fuck around for ages. So yeah, I won't even be looking at the charts until one of those alerts is triggered.
Beautiful.
Sweet. All right.
Awesome.
If no one had any questions, we will wrap it up there. Easy, Harris.
Beautiful.
Uh,
Awesome.
all right, guys. Speak to you all soon.
Catches.